So, what is the title of your book?
The title of my book, my first novel, is Computer Love.
Computer Love.
Computer Love.
And what is this book about?
So, Computer Love is about two characters, King and Mahogany. They meet in Mexico, because I love Mexico, and they meet in Puerto Escondido, because it's one of my favorite cities in Mexico. Pero it's two characters, Mahogany and King, that meet. And it's this odd connection between the two of them. Like they knew each other in another life, right? They hit it off, but then Mahogany leaves. So King lives in Puerto Escondido, but Mahogany leaves and she goes to East Africa to start teaching. Now, I taught in East Africa, so I intertwined some of those stories while I was in university. So these two continue a connection via email, hence the title, Computer Love. So there's a lot of like email transcriptions between the two of them in the book, but it's more so just a book of like two people being vulnerable and having like authentic conversations, talking about life, death, love, just everything, just characters being vulnerable with each other, you know? So it's more the authenticity of it. And
And what inspired you to just start writing this book?
so I was working on another book and I just couldn't, I didn't know where I wanted to go with it. Like I was working on like a memoir and I just didn't know like what I wanted to do. And then I got the idea of this just from like watching something. And I was like, you know what? I don't think these stories of love are authentic. Right? So I was like, let me create one with like a different spin. And that's when I thought of just making something with emails.
Cool, cool.
So
And the character King, is he based on a real person that you know, or
kind of. Kind of. The story kind of goes to two people that are like it's a tale of two people, so it is fiction.
yeah, it is fiction.
Yeah.
Okay. And same thing with Mahogany. Is
Yeah.
he's a
So Mahogany, like I put some of me in Mahogany because I share like my stories that occurred while I was teaching at the university, which has been received well by my students. I'm actually very proud of that.
wonderful.
Yeah, I exposed Somaliland to the world and their culture.
Nice. And do you plan to make other books in the future? And
Yes, I plan to make lots of books in the future, but I am releasing a second, like part two to this
part
story.
two. And
Yeah.
when do you plan to release this part two?
I plan to drop it tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I plan to release it tomorrow. It's called Is This Love? So like the first book, some people have been siding with Mahogany and they're mad at King, or some people like King. So this book, I wanted to shed more light into insight about King.
And how many parts do you think you're gonna be making to this book?
I don't know. They're kind of like the story is taken off, and the reception from the people is what led to me even considering a part two.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll see. The story can go on and on. I don't know yet where I want to go with Mahogany and King after part two.
Cool.
Is This Love? Is This Love is the name of part two.
And have you ever had other ideas about creating other genre books?
Yeah, I would love to do like children's stories or short stories, like folklore. When I was in Africa, it was a lot of tales of things, like this one particular creature called a tokoloshi.
Wow.
And it's something that adults can't see, only children and other animals. But the people out there, especially in Johannesburg, believe it to be a real thing. And it's this creature that can come in and slap the crap out of you and you won't know what hit you. You don't see it. We can be just sitting right here and boom, your face goes the other side. So I've heard so many stories of it that I created one myself and I read it to my little cousins and they loved it. So just taking things that I've heard or experienced from other cultures while traveling, I would like to put that into like an animated like children's story version.
The story.
Yeah,
And I know this doesn't really go with books, but
it's okay.
how about animations?
I do. I
Animation.
really, really do. I want to do animations. I would love to do animations. And I think once I take these short stories and turn them into animations, I can post them on my YouTube, like little short.
That's cool.
Yeah, I do want to go there with it. I think like me, I'm a former social worker, so I'll always include mental health, and both of these books kind of talk about that, the mental health of individuals. So I think that type of discussion is necessary, and I think these characters help with bringing that discussion up because they're so vulnerable and transparent with themselves, especially book two. We go into a lot of King's character and why he is the way he is. And I interviewed two friends who are former, one is still active in the military, the other one is retired, but they gave me a lot of insight into the social and mental and physical effects of being in combat, being in war, and I added that to King because he is a ex-military person, his character.
So, this book, you plan to help people connect to these characters?
I hope so, yeah. So far, when I get feedback, people have already connected. Like, women are telling me, I've been there with Mahogany before. I had me a king, you know, like they've been with the king because it's like a twin flame, like your soulmate, like meeting someone like that. So a lot of people feel like they can relate to that.
And can we get a third character in this book that you're talking about? We don't know yet.
Yeah,
You know,
gotta
maybe.
read Is This Love? I don't want to ruin it for
Yeah.
people, you know what I mean? But possibly. Is This Love is, I'm very proud of this one.
Yeah.
Very proud. It was fun to write it. It was really fun creating the characters and like going there with them.
Cool.
And they go there. Like they were vulnerable before, but now it's like extreme vulnerability. So yeah.
Cool.
Yep. Thank you.
Fine. Hope they're good.